cool sounding, and Lewis started dancing with a man he'd pointed out to Emily earlier, so she made her way back over to the wall. As she watched Lewis and the man get closer and closer to each other, she relived the twirl with exhilaration. Her sister had told her a story about the surf lesson she'd taken on her honeymoon. Anne-Marie had spent half an hour fruitlessly paddling and was wondering what was even the point, but then she caught a wave and rode it for what seemed like forever. The feeling was so unexpectedly wonderful that she signed up for a second session the next day. That's how Emily felt about that moment on the dance floor. It made the whole night worthwhile. Neither she nor Lewis had real jobs yet. They were both temping, so theoretically they could stay out until dawn and just skip a day. But by 1 a.m, they were both exhausted. "You want to do one more cigarette and then go?" Lewis asked her. They stood at the edge of the ballroom, as far from the speakers as they could get. "Hey, look at this," Lewis said, and pulled a napkin out of his pocket. He opened it just enough for Emily to see the phone number scribbled on it, and then slipped it into his coat. "Oh, wow," Emily said. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me, too. Did you dance with anyone you liked?" "Only you." "Stop." "Can I bum one?" It was the bald girl, and as soon as she spoke, Emily recognized her. Emily pulled out a cigarette, handed it to the girl, lit it for her. "Thanks," she said. "I'd stay and talk, but I've got a guy to seduce." And indeed, she immediately walked toward a group of young men and took one of them by the arm. He followed her a few steps, casting nervous laughter back at his friends. Emily was reminded of the scenes in nature documentaries in which a lion culls the weakest wildebeest from a herd. "Do we know her?" Lewis said. "We worked with her last month," Emily said, "in a mortgage office." "Did she have hair then?" "Yeah." "You're always watching," he said. Outside, he thanked her for coming with him and asked if she wanted to try again the next week. "I don't know," she said. They walked east together, sharing the unspoken knowledge that they couldn't afford a cab. The air smelled of snow. During that second surfing lesson, her sister had told her she'd never caught a single wave, and the hot guy who was teaching her shrugged and said, "That's the way it goes sometimes." And she decided that as glorious as that ride had been, it was not worth the effort to keep trying. Emily suspected she felt exactly the same way about dancing in clubs. "What's your man's name? Who you got the number from?" "Austin, I think." "You think? It was loud in there." "Look, call Austin, I think," she said. "Go dancing with him. But if you need me to come with you again, of course I will." Emily and Lewis had arrived in New York in the fall, after spending the summer working together in the dingy library of the small college they'd just graduated from in Connecticut. They rented a ground-floor apartment on 7th Street that cost $850 a month and featured, when the subletter first showed it to them, an enormous mushroom growing out of the floor under the futon. "Yeah, my cousin was staying here a long time, so we had the futon as a bed," the guy had explained. "So I guess that floor there was, like, in the shade." "Of course," Emily and Lewis had said, nodding in unison. It was in the shade. The tile was pulling apart at the seams, so it made perfect sense that an enormous fungal growth had colonized the apartment. Anne-Marie, who was studying for her Wisconsin real estate license, had told her to make sure they signed a sublet agreement. She had one in her bag, photocopied from a tenant's guide in the library, tucked into a red-welled folder Lewis stole from a temp job. But as they'd stood around the grimy, windowless living room, Emily simply could not imagine asking the guy to sign it. She could anticipate the sweet, baffled look he would give if she smoothed the document out on the scratch kitchen table, and she didn't want him to feel bad, so she stuck out her hand instead. "We'll take it," she said, in lieu of a handshake. Lewis, a germaphobe, nodded with authority. "Why are you subletting, if you don't mind me asking?" "Oh, I'm moving in with my girlfriend," the guy said, suddenly bashful. "Oh, congratulations," said Emily.